Welcome everyone to another episode of Buy, Sell, and Win. And today we have a very interesting subject, and it's how to create a real estate game plan for 2026 to make smarter decisions. Thank you, Maria, for being here. Thank you, Rascal.
Thank you so much for having us once again for this second episode of 2026. And you are so right. It's the beginning of the year, and it's time for accomplishing our resolutions and to be ready for this year and for this market.
Yes, and we did this episode in Spanish, and it was pretty popular. So since we were on the first month of the year, we want to tell people how to prepare if you really want to make a real estate move in 2026.
So if we're starting, I would like to start with this question because we asked it in Spanish, and I think it's a game changer if you are beginning to think of selling or buying. So why is starting the year with a real estate so important, and why do so many people skip this step?
Like any important decision that you're going to make in your life, the most important thing is to have a plan. It's to have clarity on what you want to do.
Exactly.
And real estate decisions are big decisions, probably the biggest financial transactions you're going to do in your life. So why leave it without a plan? Why just say, oh, I'll take care of that after. I just want to buy, or I just want to sell. You really have to create a plan. It's like if you want to get in shape, you create a plan. Exactly. You create a game plan. You decide you're going to eat better. You decide you're going to go to the gym. You decide you're going to sleep more. So real estate decisions require a game plan to be prepared. And as we advance in the program, I'm going to be able to tell buyers and sellers how to prepare for that decision. But you don't leave it to the God or whatever thing you believe in.
Yes.
It's something that requires clear preparation.
We were talking also on the Spanish episode, and I found it very funny that you mentioned that usually at the beginning of the year, people get the itch or the desire of buying or selling. Yeah. Why is that?
I don't know. I guess it's part of the process of the new year. Huh? My new year resolution. This year I'm buying my house, or this year I'm selling and upgrading, and then the year passes, and I don't know, they want to buy and all they do is spend. Well, if all you do is spend and you want to buy a condo, it's like it's contradictory what you're doing. So that's why it's important to plan ahead.
Exactly. And what are the most common mistakes you see when people make a real estate decision without a proper planning?
In for example, for buyers, one of the biggest mistakes is to buy because they feel like an emotional buy, not because they really need. It's because my cousin bought, my friends are buying, my family is telling me. That's number one. Number two is not checking their finances. Many times you're not prepared to buy. You don't have the financial capacity to buy. So you're going to need to check that. Very important. I can say that probably 50 or 60% of my buyers, they start looking. It's okay to look without getting pre-approved.
Yeah.
Because so you can see, hey, yes, there's things that I'm interested. But seriously looking for a property without getting pre-approved, it's a no.
Why is that?
Maria, if you're going to go buy a dress, do you go buy and go shopping and don't know how much you can spend?
No, of course not.
Right?
Yes.
Why are you going to go shopping for a house if you don't know how much you can afford? And I always make this example. It's like people know exactly how much they can spend on a restaurant, how much they can spend on small things. But when it comes to real estate, suddenly they decide to start shopping without knowing if they can afford it. For me, it's like, I know it's because sometimes people don't know it, but and sometimes I insist, like have clients that keep looking and looking without getting pre-approved. Before I do a visit, I'm like, look, I'm sorry, and this is not to sound
harsh.
Yeah, I was going to say another word, but I'm like, this is not appropriate. Harsh. But we're not starting visits until you have a pre-approval.
And what is this New Year mindset? Because I talk about it a little bit at the beginning of the episode. But how does the New Year mindset push people into rush of buying and or selling decision? What usually happens with this with the New Year?
People spend a lot of time with family and friends during the holidays, and there's a lot of real estate. Is like politics. It's something that's always there in family and friends reunions.
Yes.
And like politics, everyone is an expert in real estate. Everyone knows what to do, everything.
Yes.
So people get hyped during the holidays, and it's the time for the new resolutions and everything. So they start with this is my year, I'm buying this year. So when they call me, many of them, when it's selling, it's different. But when they're gonna buy, I always insist, look, before I even explain the full process, let's start by seeing if you're financially capable of buying. That's number one. And number two, please explain me the motivation behind buying or selling when you want to upgrade. Is it because you're tired of your neighbor? Is it because you don't want to hear the dog barking? Is it because the trash truck passes too early in the morning? Or is it because you don't have enough rooms and you have a new baby? Or is it because you got divorced? So that is going to tell me the difference between real need and just an impulsive purchase or sale.
I see. So those are the key questions that you would tend to ask or ask them to question themselves before deciding whether you buy or sell or wait for the year.
Yes, exactly. I had a couple that we started the pre-approval process last year. And finally, they got an answer about their pre-approval this year. And something also, I don't want to give more details because it's like personal, but the composition of the family will also change.
Okay.
So when we spoke this year, we figured it's not a good time for you to buy.
Okay.
It's not the good time to move. Another agent would probably say, yes, buy. And actually, the question from the client was, what are your thoughts? Should I really buy like now? Because everyone keeps telling me that I need to buy.
That's
and
so
I'm
important.
Like, no, it's not the good time for you to buy. You're paying a very low rent. You can still stay there because you have 2 bedrooms and the family composition is enough for the 2 bedrooms. Financially speaking, I would think you should save more. Your credit score, you should improve it in this year. That way you have a better rate for next year. So an honest real estate broker is going to tell you to wait and not just push you to buy anything.
That's so interesting. And how can you manage an impulse or an emotional rush to buy or sell? Because you're touching people's feelings. How do you manage that?
I am very clear with people. Very clear in a soft way without offending. But I try to give examples of other people. So, for example, if they're telling me, I need to buy because my family, so I tell them an example of somebody else and then I put it in paper. Okay, do you really think that getting a 3rd bedroom when you're just a couple and you don't work from home and increasing your payments in this much, is it worth it to change? And people understand, but you have to look. I am very candid when I speak to people, and I give them personal examples too, because I've made all the mistakes possible. Before I was a real estate broker, I had companies, I bought without agent, I sold without agents. I did all of the mistakes possible, and I tell them my personal story, and people connect with that.
That's nice. Well, that's good to know as well.
Yeah.
And how can you tell the difference between a true need or to move or purely an emotion decision?
So like we were saying, if your family is growing and you have a 1 bedroom, well, that's a real need to move. But if you're just moving because you want a bigger house, because your friends bought a bigger house,
yes,
I'm going to do the numbers with the person, or because you don't like the neighbor who's renting and is probably going to move out, then that's not a real need. And because there's a lot of emotions involved on the process, it is our duty to identify, look, at the end, if the person still says, doesn't matter, I want to move, even if I'm alone, I still want a 5-bedroom house. Okay. But I'm just saying, I don't think it's a wise decision. Maybe just instead of buying a bigger home, why don't you buy a second property that you can rent? But at the end, the client says, okay, well, and some people, for example, I tell them, look, you're going to lose money with the sale. Doesn't matter. I'm tired of commuting 4 hours a day. That's a valid reason.
Yeah. And I'm just curious, have you had any clients that they want to make a real estate decision out of comparison to other people?
Oh, there's a lot of people.
That's what I wanted to know.
There is and I think that is not so much the case with people from here, but in the Latin American community, it is there's a lot of social pressure. A lot of social pressure. You're throwing your money when you rent. Your cousin bought. You have been in Canada for 5 years and you have not bought. And there's a lot of guilt behind those things that they family or friends tell people. And that's important and that's where it's important to sit down and speak to those people and give them arguments to answer back whenever they're put in the same situation. That, like I always say, that famous phrase that you are throwing your money away because you're renting, it's not true. Like I always say, it is true if you're paying a very high rent. But if you're paying a cheap rent and your needs don't require you to move, it's not throwing money away. It's different. No? So you have to do the numbers and that's why it's important to know your client very well. What is he hearing? What are they telling? And I always tell my clients, as soon as you say you're going to sell or as soon as you say you're going to buy, everyone is going to start giving you opinions and everyone suddenly is a real estate expert. Listen, take notes, bring me the questions.
That's a good
tip. So you can hear another perspective.
And for those that say, I'm waiting for the perfect moment, why is waiting for the perfect moment usually a bad idea in real estate?
I love that I'm waiting for the perfect moment because the perfect moment does not exist. Please, everyone, record. If the only thing you're going to get from this episode is the perfect moment in real estate never exists. Today's price is tomorrow's opportunities. So forget about prices going down and interest rates going down. Like I always say, macroeconomically speaking, it's opposite. If prices go up, rates go down. If rates go up, prices go down. So there's no perfect moment. There's always opportunities, no matter what market you're in. Always. Sometimes people say, oh, but houses are so expensive and we can look for the houses that have been sitting on the market for months. Or, condos. And sometimes even now with the new Law 16, there's a lot of co-ownerships that are not complying with it. If you're an experienced buyer, I would buy in a co-ownership that's not complying with the law.
Really?
Yeah, I would buy at a very cheap price. Very, very cheap price. And then, yes, there's consequences. Maybe I'm going to have a couple of special assessments, but those special assessments are probably not going to compensate for paying a higher price on a well-managed co-ownership. But that wouldn't be a strategy for a first-time home buyer.
That makes sense. And how would you change your plan depending on your goal? Is improving your lifestyle versus investing and generating income?
So it's very different the way that you should approach your real estate purchases or sales. If what you're looking is for your family home or if you're looking for investment. That's another thing. People tend to want to combine the two things. That does not happen. Because when you're looking for your family home or to live in, you're going to look for how comfortable the house is, that it has the features that you need for your family, that if you have small kids, that it has a backyard. If you're looking for purely investment purposes, why do you care if you have a big or a small backyard? As
True,
long as the building
true.
is producing the money that you need. And so the decision is no longer made on fulfilling a criteria to be able to live comfortably with your family, but purely numbers. What is the return on the investment? If they sometimes, and I had an example of a client like that. He wanted to buy an investment property, but at the same time, he wanted all the units to be nice and renovated. I'm like, look, if you
Okay.
have a nicely renovated building, you're going to pay the premium. If you want better return on the investment, the majority of the buildings that are going to give you the fiveplex and ups, they're going to be with units that are not renovated. They're going to be cheaper, but there's an opportunity to optimize that.
That's true.
So you can't want to have the big backyard and the renovated units and pay and try to buy a fiveplex under $1 million. It's not going to happen. So that's why it's very important to identify the difference between buying to live and buying to invest.
And talking about that, because we usually see experts in real estate in social media that can mislead that type of information. What would you say to someone that is listening to an expert on social media saying that buying real estate for just your primary home and just to live, it's a bad idea?
I would say that check who's giving you the information. If the coach, the person that's giving the information is somebody that has no real estate, probably they don't really know much.
Okay.
Right? Or if I don't know, if it's like if a doctor or it's only a real an influencer. Are they really on the ground every day? Do they really know what are the challenges of this of buying and selling? Have they ever bought and sold properties? Have they? And there's a lot of gurus out there saying,
Yes.
you can pay a course $10,000, $15,000 and we'll make you an expert investing in real estate. Cookie cut strategy. I don't really think. I think that's, I mean, you can study, yes, and it's important to study, but the magic recipe doesn't exist. Those people that own 100 or 200 doors, they started investing 20 years ago.
When the market was very different.
Exactly. They have the contacts.
Yes.
It's not that you take a course and suddenly you become an expert. You need to know the people. You need to find the investors that are willing to put the money, unless you have millions of dollars sitting in your bank account. So be careful a lot. And I had a client the other day also that called me. He wanted to do a course to start with multifamily and right away. And I'm like, okay, show me what they're going to teach you for those $15,000. Like, have you ever, and I always tell, why don't you start with something smaller? Or if you want to go into the multifamily business, which means 5 doors and up.
Yes.
Sorry. Probably partner up with somebody that knows. Because even if you have the money, managing tenants, it's not something that you learn from one day to the other.
Exactly. And plus they see that so easy, because I have many friends that they ask me, hey, I'm just waiting for the good time so I can buy a multiple unit, and then they're gonna start their real estate plan like that. And I'm like, do you know how much they cost? And all the process of having a multiple apartment unit. Multifamily unit.
Building.
Yes, they think that it's pretty easy, but I don't know if they realize,
because they
how it
sell
really
that
is.
in social media.
Yes.
And the other thing, I'm waiting for the next time somebody tells you that, ask them back. What is the perfect moment? Tell me what would be the perfect scenario for you to buy.
True.
Do they even have for example, in multifamily, things in order to know how much you can pay for a building, you need to do a very specific economical, it's what we call the economic value of the building. Not a lot of people know how to do it. Not even a lot of brokers know how to do it. You need to work with a mortgage broker that's specialized in commercial financing to know what are the real numbers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And talking about planning to buy for this year, what concrete steps should someone take in the next 30 to 60 days if they plan to buy this year?
So first of all, like we said, they need to get pre-approved. They need to review their budget. Very important. They have to define what I always tell people when we start looking is what are the non-negotiables and what are the I would nice to have, because you're not going to have the perfect property either, because that does not exist. You can start looking a little bit the market, I always suggest drive around the areas that you're going to live, because sometimes people don't think about driving in the neighborhood, especially when they're moving to a new one.
Yes.
And the other one, of course, I'm going to say speak to a broker, a mortgage broker and a real estate broker. Yeah, that's important.
I think they go hand in hand.
Yes.
And what should a homeowner start doing today if they're thinking about selling, even if it's not immediate?
Important, first of all, get your property evaluated. If you don't want to work with a real estate broker because you're going to do it on your own, by all means, it's okay, but get an appraiser to do it.
Okay.
Don't try to play evaluator, because for sure you're not going to know what it is. So either get a real estate broker or get it an appraiser. That's number one. Look at the comparables, but look at the sold comparables. Whatever is on the market, it might guide you a little bit on what are the potential selling prices, but at the end, what counts, and a lot of people, when I bring evaluations, for example, I say, hey, your house is worth 800,000. They're like, oh, but my neighbor is selling for 900. Yeah, but we don't know how much they're going to sell for. At the end, what counts is what properties are selling for, what buyers are willing to pay for your property.
Yes.
So recent market comparables. The other thing, very important, is to prepare all the paperwork. So check if you need a new certificate of location. Check if you're in a co-ownership, if you have the minutes and the financials, if you have the insurance of the building, everything. And finally, well, you're going to need to get your property ready for sale. So if there's little repairs to be done, I'm not saying huge, well, it depends on the evaluation, but
yes.
The small repairs are always very important. Lights that are not working, light switches that are not working, caulking, but that's a big one.
Okay.
Caulking around, I don't know, in the bathroom, a good paint, landscaping. So get your property ready. Like when you're going to go out and find a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever, you get ready, right?
Yes.
You put makeup or whatever, you guys cut the hair or whatever, same thing if you're gonna sell a house.
And if you could give one piece of advice to help someone to make smarter real estate decision this year, what would you say?
Please don't make your decisions in isolation.
Oh,
please,
how come?
don't go and decide. Please ask
Oh.
questions.
Okay.
Ask a real estate broker, ask a mortgage broker, ask people that know.
Okay.
Don't make the decisions and don't be close-minded. Like ask the people that know. And once again, like I said, listen to what your friends and family have to say, but bring those questions to people that do this every single day.
Yeah.
And again, like we were doing, like we were talking in the Spanish episode, is once you're going to go for a real estate broker, please do your due diligence. Check online what are the reviews, the good ones, the bad ones. Check what friends and family have sold or bought with. And interview, like anything else in life. Interview, it's like dating. You date a lot of people. You talk to a lot of people. Well, when you're going to choose your real estate broker, interview 3, 4. Ask them, And there's a lot of things about knowledge, but there's also a lot of things about feeling, how you feel with that real estate broker. Do you feel that it transmits knowledge, confidence? Are you calm with that person, or does that person make you like, I don't know, anxious?
Yes.
So that's very important. That's very important. But I'm gonna mainly say don't make those decisions on your own. Make a plan, and next to each plan is, if you need to get pre-approved, call a mortgage broker. If you need to, call a real estate broker. There's like.
But something interesting that you said during the Spanish episode, and it is that when you start interviewing or meeting with agents, real estate agents, try to see a few before signing.
Exactly, because many times people realize they made the wrong decision when it's too late. And like I said before, once you're committed with a real estate broker and you have a contract, you cannot ask for advice from any other real estate broker. We cannot do it. It's not legal. And people try to be tricky. Like, for example, I get a lot of questions on my social media about what do I think about this? What do I think? So I give some information, and then, not because I don't want to share the knowledge. By all means, I want to share the knowledge. All the podcasts are there online. But I want to know if you're working with somebody else, because I can't. Or sometimes people contact me because they are already in the middle of a transaction and they don't trust the broker they're doing business with. And they want me to revise the documents, the transaction. I cannot do it.
That can be possible?
I cannot. I risk on losing my license. So even if somebody is on the market for sale with a broker and they call me, the first thing I do is I go online and I check if they have an active mandate. If they do, I can't tell them anything. I'm going to have to tell them, I am sorry. It's not because I don't want to
help you,
but this is called solicitation. And this is prohibited by our code of conduct and by the OASIC. So unfortunately, until your contract is not over or it's canceled, I can't evaluate your property. I can't give you advice. So that's why it's important to choose wisely.
Now we know.
Now you know.
And I think with this episode, we have plenty of information to get ready for this year if we want to start the idea or thinking about the decision of buying or selling a property.
Exactly. Thank you, Maria, once again. Thank you,
so much,
Roscoe.
Catalina.
And we'll see each other in 2 weeks. Thank you, everyone that was listening on Instagram. If you have any questions or you want us to talk about any subjects, just use my social media and send me the questions.